sure. Most of the stuff I've done with this is relatively simple, but some of the people that I've talked to, they do have these really super large data sets, and you've got about 80 intents that you can go up to. And it starts getting really complex because sometimes it's hard to get that intent to match something that's really similar. So that means you've got to give it even more data and train it even more. It's really easy to get started with just a few utterances, but the feedback that I'm getting, like from Microsoft and everything, is that when you start getting this large, huge number of intents and everything, you really got to spend a whole lot more time training it. Okay, so that's kind of like the Lewis model. Let me go show you the code that uses that particular model. This is called contact info bot, and it's contact info dialog, derives from Lewis dialog, and you put your model keys. Remember I showed you that publishing, and your keys are there? You just copy and paste those and put them right there. And see these intent, that's the non-intent, it's empty. That's that change info intent. And so for every intent, you'll have a method that it maps into. And once you've mapped to that method, you can use this Lewis result right there. And see that entity recommendation? I'm going in there, trying to pull out this contact tag entity. Once I have it, then I can say, what would you like to change your email to? And then it gives me a response, and I say, okay, so now change it then. Is that cool?
Can you limit the content to certain values? In other words, I want to change my phone number, but the system's not storing a phone number. Can you limit what it says? Can you respond to that separately and say, we can't change your phone number? Or...
Yeah, because that's what you would do is when you grab that entity and look at it, and if it doesn't fit one of the values that you can handle and everything, then you respond that way.
Okay, so you just respond to your code. It doesn't have like an automatic list of responses.
There is another feature and everything. I haven't worked with it much. It's called a phrase list. And everything, but I think its goal is to identify things that will match, try to broaden what it can, as opposed to filtering. Okay. So that's that, and let me cover Azure Bot Service. And here I'm just going to talk about this a little bit and everything. But Azure Bot Service is like conversation as a platform. Does anybody here use Azure Functions? Okay, a few. Azure Functions is a feature of Azure that allows you to scale out applications. You go out and you write a function, it's just a method call. And you go online and you fill in this method and everything, and you can call your own DLLs and everything off of that method. But they're designed to be lightweight, stateless, scalable pieces of code. And what happens is that Azure takes these and they scale them out for you automatically. So that's what they call serverless computing. And it's kind of silly. Okay, everybody knows your code runs on a server. But what it is you don't have to be concerned about the server. It's not a part of the design and architecture thinking about that specific server. You just have to know the concept that it's going to scale out and handle it from there. So anyway, the big question is, okay, how do I scale my bot? Azure Bot Service is a great way to do that. And I've got a whole demo here and everything, but I'm kind of running out of time and everything. And I want to cover a couple more things. I've got this one slide right here that I think is pretty important. And it's kind of not technical, but it's interesting because Microsoft came out with this chatbot, put it on Twitter about a year or so ago. It was called Tay. And it got a lot of headlines because Tay was an artificially intelligent, self-learning chatbot. And they made the mistake of putting it on Twitter. And Twitter, as you know, has got the worst people in the world. And within hours, these people went out there and taught Tay how to hate, how to be a bigot, and how to be anti-Semitic and everything else. And Microsoft tried to take it down. It was just terrible. And so there was lessons learned. And I call that a social learning attack because here's the thing, is that if you're building AI, the AI has to learn somehow, right? It might be self-learning system, or it's got to be supervised learning and everything. If it's supervised learning, like a machine learning, that's based on data. And where does data come from? It comes from our history. And what's in that data? That data is our history, and it can have bias, and it can have all the bad things we've done in the past. And what we have to do is not just sit there and say, oh, this technology is cool, let's just blindly do that and put it up there, and somebody says, this is AI and it works great, because your HR salary prediction system has demographic data in it that's going to perpetuate the discrimination that existed for so many years. You see? See how tricky this is? We're the ones who have to watch out for that and everything. So there's a lot of social issues, conversational commerce, where we're going to deal with people's money and everything, just like we always have, so that's not going to change. Bot or not, how would somebody feel if they were talking to your chat bot, thought they were talking to a human, and then found out they were talking to a real bot? And then spam, please don't let your chat bot become the next spammer. Here's some resources that I've got. There's a nice, where's that MBA course? It's in Node.js. Out there right now, it's free, and that's a few resources. A lot of good information on Twitter, on those tags. So I love Twitter, even though I just criticized them. Sorry, Twitter. Oh, did everybody get that? Thank you. And there's my contact information. Any more questions?
In regards to those jumps in navigation and some richer text formatting, how does that work with channels? Because not all channels support HTML or buttons. Let's say if we use Twitter as a channel, does it have something that formats it automatically, or that is up to us?
Right. How does that text formatting work with channels and everything? And so that's why you got that channel ID and everything, because now you have to kind of like parse that out and say, well, if I got this channel where this stuff isn't going to go, because like one of the channels is SMS. Well, your markup might look okay in SMS, but HTML certainly wouldn't. So you have to look at the channel ID.
Thank you.
So I think these are great examples to kind of demonstrate how the framework works. But I think these bots and the others that I have tried so far seem like they're just there just because the school has some new technology. But the actual problem that they are trying to solve could be easier solved with like more traditional methods. Like the first couple of examples, I mean, the simple one-page form is faster and like easier to navigate than having a bot, right? Are you aware of any examples or interfaces where a bot is actually an easier and more effective way to solve a problem?
Well, I think bots are going to be really popular in the enterprise because a lot of people are using like Slack, and they're going to be using Teams and things like that, and texting each other. And so you can bring in like a bot to do things like scheduling conference rooms and maybe doing tasks around the office. There may be chat bots for like help desks and things like that. A lot of companies are implementing chatbots for their level 0 support, because level 0 support is often just, we've all been on the phone and heard the support person flipping the pages, right? I mean, they're just getting it out of a book. So you can put that on a chatbot.
Yeah, but how is it different from like a set of drop boxes, right, asking the right questions?
Yeah, and so the big difference is conversation. And my opinion is that, yeah, there's a lot of interfaces that you can do it with graphics and everything, but I think that the future is going towards voice. And that's why you don't see me doing a lot of graphics.
If I could add to that, I went to the Visual Studio Dev Conference back in March, and they had a presentation on some of the cognitive services of this too. And we're looking at this in isolation as just a bot, but if you put something like Chris, which is the voice recognition, CRIS framework, now it's not just a form, because they're actually asking a question that then gets parsed, gets translated to words and then parsed by the bot, and then it does things. So you're right, just a form, easier, but this is a part of a total pipeline. You see more
Yeah.
advantages.
As we move into the future and we start thinking about voice first, it's going to matter a lot, because consumers are going to say, well, I can just talk to my computer. And you know, Amazon's getting a lot of traction with Alexa. That's super popular. Any more questions? Thank you. Okay, well, that's my presentation. Thanks. Really appreciate it.